How to castle. Um, just so you know, this is called the rook right here, but it's also referred to as the castle. The knight is also referred to as a horsey, and those are just something you should keep in mind. But there's a move, and it's called castling. And castling is a way to make your king safe, and it's a way to shuffle your king to the side of the board quickly, and it's a special move that you can only do once during the game. So you can, so to castle, what you do, and this is the only time that the king can actually jump over a piece, and the rook can jump over a piece, um, is that you move the king 2 squares to the side, and put put the rook next to it. So here, if we notice, this is called castling on the king side. Um, so you put the king over 2, and the rook goes next to it. And now here, on the other side, you put the king over 2, and the rook goes next to it. Okay, so let's say white plays this move, castle on queen side. Now, black could castle this way. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if the king has already moved, let's say the king goes here, and let's say they go there, and the king goes back, the king is no longer allowed to castle. Once the king is moved, the king is not allowed to castle. So let's say they try to, that would be marked as an illegal move and would not be allowed. So also, let's say we were to reach a position like this, and white put the king in check, then black cannot castle out of check. That is not allowed. So the king would have to move, and now it loses its right to castle. So let's say white castles this way, and this is the queen side, because this is the queen side of the board. This is the king side. Everything from over here is the king side. So now black is not in check, and black has not moved their king, so black cannot castle. Or so black can castle. Black is not in check, and black has not moved their king, so black can castle. That's an example of legally castling. Now, the third thing about castling, though, is that you cannot castle through check, because it is like the king is moving here, and then the rook is moving next to it. So this king right now, because this rook is guarding these squares right here, cannot castle queenside, because if the king were to come here, the king would be captured. So the king can only castle kingside. So those are the rules to castling. So remember, the king moves 2 over, and the rook goes next to it. And the 3 things are: you cannot castle 1 if you are in check, like this. This king can no longer castle out of check, or if you have already moved, this king can no longer castle if the king has already moved. And you cannot also castle through check. So right now, in this position, because this rook guards this square, the king cannot castle. And also, of course, you cannot castle if, let's say, you had the white piece had their queen here, or their bishop here, or their knight here. These squares have to be clear to castle. And castling is a good idea because it keeps the king a little safer than in the center of the board, where it can be more easily attacked.